¿Cómo están, mi gente? Welcome to Crystal Sage Wisdom episode 11.
Wait.
Oh, well, we were supposed to work. Let's do that. Welcome to episode 11.
10 plus 1, 11. And welcome to, and we also have 111 subscribers. Soon to be 111,000.
Ooh,
Come on over to Crystal Sage Wisdom and our chats. And today we're going to chat about You're Not Alone. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Sometimes we don't really like our reflections. I'm going to share little stories about moments where maybe we've struggled with the aspect of us we see looking back at us in the mirror. And it's been no secret. We started one of our first earlier episodes sharing with you that we feel like we're undergoing a transformation. You see Alex's cute, adorable cup?
yeah. It's my, ode to New York City cafecito cups. Anyway, cafecito blessings to all of you out there. And like my sister said, and like we both said, episode 11, I just want to connect that to the energy of the master number. So we love it. So you know what? From your words to all of you, let's get all these thousands of people entering and energizing our community.
Absolutely. You know, the intention of these chats, you see me going away from my sister. It's really hot, and
She doesn't want any part of me to touch her. And then so as she moves, I, like a magnet, want to move with her.
so please don't get offended. This is why our sisterhood works. I have shared in other episodes that I get a little bit too hot, and it's a very hot day, and we're indoors.
So we're just trying to keep our 1 inch distance apart
I asked my sister
for
to
all
social
safety
distance.
reasons.
I asked my sister to social distance with me 1 inch at least.
She's like, if you value your life, stay at least 1 inch. And I'm just kidding.
Can you imagine? But her, you know, your daughter's similar to me. She's got Aries. She's surrounded by a ring of fire. So my sister understands the Aries mindset. But we digress. We're talking about the beautiful magic number 11, and I love the idea. I heard this many times in other channels, and I love it too, as a vision that when you walk through any doorway, you're walking through a number 11, and if you're working with what's around you and you walk through a doorway, those could be little moments in your day when you can practice a positive affirmation, especially when you're working through those moments where you don't feel very good inside or about yourself, whether you don't feel great in the inner territory or the outer territory. I'll tell you a very candid example, and my sister knows this. Years ago, I was going through a very bad acne flare-up in my body.
Yeah, I remember.
You remember?
That, yeah.
And the conversation of anger is connected to that, because I was also doing a lot of purging during that time. And obviously, can you imagine if your skin has a lot of different eruptions, right? You may not feel like you have the most positive self-identification. You don't want to even look at your reflection at that point. And there were moments where, because my face was represented with all this acne, and I did not understand at that moment that it was really connected to the transformations and the transitions and all the emotional processing that was happening. When you don't feel good about yourself, sometimes the world will respond with evidence. And there was some
Evidence.
There was some evidence.
I'm not laughing at you not feeling well. It's just that, the universe has a really special way sometimes.
Listen, there were, in case I didn't wake up and look at myself in the mirror that day, other people would remind me. Do you
People-
remember those stories?
Man, it's so true. Es verdad that people are bien especial. Like, why do we have such an obsession with wanting to highlight people's, you know, aspects
Not their
that-
best positive aspects,
Exactly.
right? Like,
And
and
probably-
that's cultural. That's very
that's
cultural.
so cultural, and probably things that represent a lot of insecurity for people. But yeah, una obsesión where I gotta let you know that you have one pimple all the way, in this random spot, or oh, you have a little extra inch of chunkiness.
And they're
or,
like, oh, muffin tops.
or you're not chunky enough. Like it's just always something. But anyway, the point is to your point is that, even if you were trying to not allow the agony to affect you emotionally or stress you as much, the world or people were still kind of throwing it in your face, which in some ways it's still medicine, right? And from the perspective of somehow it's like life was trying to get you to face something, literally, right? That maybe you weren't ready yet, or maybe that you hadn't connected, or because I feel like it's important to know that when my sister was going through these years, you had gone through a huge transform, it was a huge awakening, it was a lot, it wasn't just, oh, you had a bad day, or it wasn't just, oh, I went through that one situation that erupted all this. No, you had almost a whole life style
Complete shift.
Yeah, so
we call it the eat, pray, love. A lot of people have done
big.
some eat, pray, loves
moments
successfully, and some of us are still trying to be successful at just jumping out into the dark abyss, which is part of the awakening moments. And all of these stories, we're medicine women, so all of these stories intertwine. Let's go down a journey where we're talking. We always know how to bring it back all the time. And this is sort of the secret of curanderas, curanderos, medicine women, shamans. They teach by storytelling. And a lot of the best kept secrets that are passed down generation to generation is storytelling. Now, there have been stories that have been passed down within our families that when we experience those moments where maybe we don't like the reflection that we're seeing in the mirror, or just the inner, or just how you feel, those stories that are carried down and passed down through families, some of them didn't help with the positive self-reflection. And again, this is also an area where my sister and I are taking time out of our schedules to share these little sister wisdom tips, because this is something that we all experience. Sometimes you feel like you're having your best day, and we want to amplify that in our lives for ourselves, and for all of you want to see that, want to witness that. But it's also natural to have your moments where you just don't feel okay. Your body is signaling change, and you go through a process of denial to acceptance, and then and you grief, right? And then at some point you go and you start making positive changes. And at the low point of feeling somewhat challenged by having people constantly remind me in the street that I had a very bad acne flare. Can you imagine? And women and men, who go through this, it's a very, what's the word? It can take away at your confidence, because if you have other markings in your body, you may be able to hide it with clothes. But this is your business card.
Yeah.
Where you go. And then
and
then for us, since we're in the content creator business, it was just really difficult. One time I was in a healing circle, and someone pointed out and asked me if it was Halloween. And I said, why are you asking me if it was Halloween? And it was like, well, because you have all this acne in your face, and I'm wondering why you're still wearing your Halloween mask.
Are you serious? They really had the nerve to say some shit
and
like
mind
that?
you, this person
in a healing circle.
This person said that as we were beginning to open up a wellness circle where I was there to facilitate a sort of meditative wellness experience. So imagine how the universe at that moment is sort of challenging me. Why is the universe challenging me, right?
God.
Now, why are we saying this, right? Because we all have something in our lives that always challenges us when we might not feel as confident or as secure. And in those moments, I wasn't feeling the most secure out of myself. And this acne problem wasn't just a year. It wasn't 2 years. It was, I think, more than 3, maybe 3 to 5 years that I was going on and off. And I really believe that what healed me is love. A 2-part love. First was obviously looking at myself in the mirror and accepting that this is the way my body was representing itself at this moment. Because as my sister pointed out, I needed to sort of have the awareness of what else was happening in my life, right? Like, if you are moving through a moment in your life where you feel a little bit insecure, or maybe you feel like I've gained more weight, I've lost too much weight, I've had an acne flare up, I have maybe rashes developing on my body, those are ways, I'm getting chills saying that, those are ways that your body is speaking to you, is in another way, is saying, hey, I don't know what's going on in your life, but attention, stress 911, you really need to look at this. And when you're in that pattern of almost self-loathing, and I think I was falling into that pattern where I was just almost repulsed by the image of me with the acne that I would see in the mirror. Then a very transitional moment was something my sister said. If my sister didn't bring those magical words to me, I don't know where I would be part of in my healing journey. And I don't know if you remember what you said to me.
I think so. I mean, I think so, but I don't want to interrupt what you're saying. So I'll tell you if that's what I was thinking.
You were pretty much asking me to have compassion with myself, to have compassion over where I was in my journey. I did not fart. I just moved around this very squeaky chair.
Mi gente, when you in your family's house,
things make creaky things.
They still love plastic. And, comment down below if you understand what I mean. Plastic in the furniture.
It's a hot day and I'm sitting on a plastic covered furniture.
We're going to unstick ourselves.
Stick ourselves. And all of a sudden it was like, they farted.
I know. We'll just cut that part out.
Okay. This part will be cut out. Jumping in. Okay, so what I believe, what you said to me translated to me as you were asking me to step out of myself, and how would I speak to someone who was in my shoes. And something I realized when I had that conversation with my sister was that I wasn't exercising compassion for myself. And self-talk can be very destructive. And the way that I was speaking to myself during those days was not very positive for any of my healing, my outward healing, or my inner healing.
Isn't it interesting how when you're caught up in something, like whatever the situation is, like you can get so caught up in your self-talk that you don't even realize, like, when things just happen almost subconsciously, like it becomes almost so natural for you to be saying whatever you're saying to yourself that's not kind or not compassionate, but it's happening so organically, you're almost not even catching it. Like if you're not really stopping to consciously really hear what you're saying to yourself, really, are you listening to how you're really speaking to yourself? If you're not stopping intentionally to do that, you may not even catch it. And I really feel personally, and my sister and I have discussed this in other videos, and you will see how a lot of the themes that come out in other videos come up often in a lot of our stories because it's all connected. And that's we're always talking about how fast life has become, right? How
Too
speedy,
fast.
how like multitasking we've become, to the point where it's just not realistic. And I feel like that contributes so heavily to our ability to feel connected with ourselves and to really feel like you're at the same pace with yourself. It's almost like your physicality is going, and your inside is on a whole other schedule, you know? And if you're not trying to stop to, you know, align everything, you're missing a lot of cues. So, you know how my sister was saying she was getting her body, you know, the acne was erupting because her body's giving her a message like, yo, I'm feeling this. Attention. Like
Attention.
trying to really, it's like that calling card. And then on top of it, the universe is sending you people that, even though it's rude, from another perspective, it's like that uncomfortable experience to, again, attention, trying to get
You can't deny.
Like, you cannot deny there's something, that there's a message that's trying to be communicated to you so that you can pay attention to it. And we all go through it, right? And we all have experiences that we have, you know, been in denial and have had many. The universe will come and smack you with ways to get you to align stuff. But, you know, at the end of the day, you need it. It's like sometimes we're so caught up in our day to day, we are not stopping or realizing even the messages. So also, like you were saying before, there's different stages to healing. There's different stages through emotions. And I'm sorry, but that denial stage is a bitch.
That denial stage is really a bitch.
And
I didn't want to look at myself in the mirror.
I think right. It's like you don't want to look at yourself, but I also feel like within denial, there's that space of like, you know, we ignore so much during that stage. You know, like when we had our shop and people would come in and they would, you know, open up about whatever they were facing, and when they would kind of get to a point where they're like, well, this is what I know is going on, and they would just say, this is what I'm feeling, or this is my challenge. You know, I would sit back and be like, oh my God, that's amazing. And it would make such a big stink about it. Why? Because personally, I feel like being able to get to the place where you even understand and know what it is that's going on is a big feat, because of all these things we're battling. Our life is too busy. We make no time. We're so disconnected. Denial is a bitch. And for you to have to go through all that, right? And also sometimes we are very afraid. Like there's so many things that can be in the way between you getting to the place where you understand, hey, this is actually what's going on, or this is what I have to do. Even if you don't know what the next step is, but you to even get to that place of awareness is powerful, mi gente. And sometimes is the hardest place to get to, because you are battling all those other, you know, like walls and ways that life, whether it's from coming from the outside or it's coming from within, is stopping you from making those connections, you know. But then all of a sudden, like there you are making those connections, and part of it was you're giving yourself more love and grace. And what started to happen at that point?
Well, this part of love, grace, and compassion is one of the areas that my sister and I have been working on when it comes to breaking chains in the family. Because this is not an area, I don't think we have people really, there are very few people in both sides of the family that have a gentle expression. Everybody is very
Intense. A little spicy.
A little too spicy. And the messages that we've gotten passed down from women to women in a lot of within our family members has not been very encouraging, has not been love, right? So practicing something that you don't see in any level, right? They always say fake it till you make it, even in laughter. And so then that was part of the recipe. The other, you know, there's multiple recipes here, is getting to the point where you have to look at the mirror. And where are you right now where you're not looking at the mirror. Right now, we have different things that we have to look at the mirror about.
I mean, mi gente, this is a perfect, moment from the universe to you via us for you to ask yourself, are you looking in the mirror? Have you made time to look in the mirror?
What are you seeing? And to my sister's point is, after you see what you see, maybe you're seeing someone who's a little bit angry. Maybe you see a face full of grief. Maybe you see a face. If I'm not careful, I'm going to have a superior resting bitch face. I ain't trying to have that as I get older. I want to be just gracefully old.
Plus, you have such a great smile. You can't be like, you got to have like your smile face, not your resting bitch face.
So it's really looking at yourself with kindness.
But honesty.
The key part that my sister, and honesty, the key part that my sister said was, this is just who you are right now. Of course, when you're going through something and you're in years, what do you mean? It's been years of this. Mm-hmm. But you always, this is a new thing in your whole lifestyle, in your whole life. This is just a new part. This is not who you are. This doesn't take away from anything else. This is just a temporary mask. Like that naughty human being was asking me, why are you still wearing that mask? Sometimes the universe will rudely give you a message because the universe wants you to respond. Like, you have to look at this right now.
It's like the universe will make you very uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable. So you have to be, so it's like at that moment,
it's like
if everything else that I've been trying, the cremas, the consultations, if those things haven't been working and adjusting what I'm eating is not working, then we have to look at what else is there. There's a lot of people, for example, that might be struggling with weight issues. Something that is rarely talked about is, what is the emotional component? Sometimes the stress will have you either eating a lot or not eating. Everybody has a different like a trigger, right? And like
everything has a physical,
I know that
trigger
I
connection.
love to dive into chocolate when I'm I'm not feeling too hot, right? And those are like little patterns that you sort of like look at. Now the other part is action, right? Like, so it's like ask, seek, I forget, ask and you shall seek and you shall find. You gotta seek, you gotta do the acting part, the activity, right? Even if it feels like it's acting. So you're not feeling like you're in a good mood, looking at yourself in the mirror and just,
it's not working, I don't know why.
It's not working, it's smiling, but unless you smile, the reflection won't smile back.
You gotta start somewhere.
You gotta start. And just doing this is automatically tricking your body to, whoa, you're sending happy signals to me now?
Like, what's going on?
Right?
That's a new twist.
That's a new thing. So this is how, in those days, I started to heal from and move into a more positive self-psychology. While this wasn't representing itself in the way, my avatar wasn't representing itself in the way that I wanted to represent. And that hard truth is looking as to why that wasn't manifesting. I wasn't feeling good in my body. I was feeling really sad. I was feeling very angry. I was feeling very confined. And so then the body's like, bitch,
I'm going to express myself anyway. Because
that's how it is. We're going to express ourselves.
It's
and how many people
somehow
are in that situation right now where you might have a flare-up in your body, and maybe the last place you've looked is, what is my home life like? What is stressing me out at work? Am I very concerned about something? Am I worried about something?
What am I holding on to? Like, part of the healing process is asking questions. Like once you understand or you're acknowledging something's off or there's evidence of something being off, like once you're in that space and you're trying to figure it out or to heal it and it doesn't seem to get better or lighter or easier, well, you have to, like my sister was saying, you got to keep not just doing the work, but asking the questions, like, trying different things. At the end of the day, if we keep repeating something or something keeps repeating in our life, is because there's still something we have yet to connect for ourselves. You know how we all, and comment down below, mi gente,
Comment down below.
if you
we want to
know
hear from
this
the community.
if you know this feeling
Comment
of
down below.
how going through that repeated lesson where you just feel like puñeta otra vez, like you feel like you try, you feel like, but I learned that lesson, I faced it, I cried, I bitched, I fought, I did this, and all of a sudden there you go again in the same lesson.
You to experience a version of it again.
Guess what? That just means that you actually didn't learn what you were supposed to learn,
or there's still maybe a little bit more to learn.
Exactly, or maybe there was another element, that a deeper component that maybe at that point you weren't ready for, but this time you are. Or maybe at that point you just didn't connect and this time you can, or maybe you half-assing yourself and you think, because we're all guilty of that sometimes, you think that you're doing better, but your behavior and your patterns are still kind of the same. And the universe is saying, like, I see you. I see what you are doing.
Look, one time I had a young lady who did a private session with me, and she had experienced a very terrible accident. And she definitely had started her healing journey. But this was just a month after it. And she was looking at me wholeheartedly trying to convince me that she was all healed from a very traumatic accident. Wow. After just 1 month. Maybe she was at a moment where she felt really strong. But grief and trauma have a way of sneaking up and surprising you when you least expect it. And it's also knowing that everybody will get to their point when they need to. And if they're ignoring it, the universe will keep sending you signals and more representatives.
And louder.
Until you can't deny it. And when you get to that point, a lot of times it's uncomfortable to experience, whatever it is.
I would go ahead and say, when you get to that point, it will be uncomfortable. It will.
It's like a big boulder gets thrown your way. I feel like
at the beginning, you're like, there's always messages, and we've discussed in prior videos too how, messages are going to come at us. Sometimes it's not coming from your body. Sometimes you're going to pass by and you see a random quote on the wall, and it's going to maybe talk about an aspect, maybe an emotional aspect.
Like,
or
keep
anger,
going, you're beautiful. And when you're having that negative self-reflection and you see something like that,
right, that can be helpful.
Have made an agreement that you're going to go outside and look for positive messages, you're going to see those messages.
The universe, it will send them to you, but the universe will also send you messages
the other ones
when you're not paying attention to something you need to. It will come in such random ways. Somebody walking by on a conversation, you'd be surprised. You meet a random stranger and all of a sudden they're telling you something that you feel is your story. Like, you'll be surprised. And so a lot of times it'll start in these very light, what I like to say, light ways of trying to get your attention, trying to get you to see, trying to get you to connect. And, they will increase in intensity usually up until we're in a place where we're really doing the work, or we get smacked awake, which no one likes that feeling.
And another aspect that I wanted to speak to you, I'm very hot. I don't know if you see that I keep doing this to lean out.
And I just want to be close to her.
And I'm being very challenged right now because I'm so hot in this.
She's doing it, mi gente, though. She's doing it.
So hot. Let's take a refreshing, cleansing break.
Imagine how cool that breath is.
No, it's full of much New York City heat.
Volcanic heat.
So the whole like positive psychology, psychology thing, like fake it till you make it, is so crucial, because this is a part that we all want to like deny, but who's driving? A lot of times we want others to figure things out for us. Or like I wanted to just magically wake up one day and just...
Has someone give you the solution? Well, please tell us, why can't someone give us the solution?
Right, I mean, especially when you're trying solutions and you're like, why are they not working?
When you're feeling
and
that
this
low.
is where you have to look.
Why?
You have to look, am I feeling okay? Because here's the other part. It's one thing to be physically not feeling your best or looking your best. But we project that out to the world. And when we're moving in the world, maybe we're not saying anything. Maybe we're being very polite to everyone. But there's something in your body posture that's projecting.
Or frequency,
that
your vibe.
That vibe, that sadness. Maybe you're not looking at people. Maybe you're not smiling. Maybe you're not being joyful. Maybe you're looking down. Maybe you're slouching. Maybe you're breathing shallow, right? And if you're breathing shallow, you're not taking that breath.
Which is usually when most of us are doing it.
Then,
that's a big one.
So little things like that, all those things sort of come into, and we tell people sometimes whatever you might be challenged with, because we are living in very challenging human moments.
It's a lot.
Sometimes it's breath by breath.
Yeah.
Sometimes whatever is being generated inside your body, your emotion is so intense, is maybe perhaps terrifying, or maybe you just feel like hopeless, that it's breath by breath.
That's
right?
all you can do.
All you can do.
And that's enough. It's okay for that to be your, when we had our shop, I used to tell people sometimes when they're in those very positions, I used to say, if all you can, if you're feeling like you're freaking crawling through mud, just keep crawling. Just don't give up,
Don't give up.
Just don't give up.
Or else we're going to continue
crawling.
to shake
keep
the
breathing.
camera.
Just
shake you up.
Keep taking the step. I
keep
promise.
Moving, right?
I promise
it's
that
a progress.
Right. I promise that movement is still getting you further. It's like the spiral, right? Sometimes you feel when you're at the lower part of the spiral that you're not moving because you're like, I'm at the bottom, but it's a trickery. It's actually, still a moving path. And as you're walking, even if it's that little tiny step, you're still moving forward. And that is what matters. I promise that when we set our intentions to move forward, little by little, you will see things beginning to shift, and it will be very subtle and it will be very light. But one day you'll wake up and feel like, oh, shoot. And actually, one thing that I would love to, share with the community that I do all the time, that everyone can do, it's free. And it has a lot to do with, looking in the mirror, like we've been saying, or I like to do, mirror therapy, and I usually like to do it at night, right before I shower. And because to me, I believe Feng Shui calls it the room of transformation, the bathroom. And to me, it is outside of the kitchen, which is considered the hearth of the home, the heart, the heat. The bathroom to me is like my favorite because it is the place of transformation. That's where
dumping things you no longer
you're
need.
purging, you're releasing, but you're also refreshing and energizing. And so I love to take my evening baths and my evening, get settling into my evening to do all of that in a very short, easy way. As I'm looking in the mirror, I'm flossing and brushing my teeth, I'm having a conversation with myself. I'm checking in. If I'm going through something emotional or something that's bothersome, that's the time where I'm going to say, Alex, cut the shit. What's going on? And tell me, mira, we're going to be...
Talk to yourself in real time.
I need to know what's really going on. That's where I want to...
Be natural with yourself.
I want to know, that's where I want to just be real with myself. No lies, what are you really truly feeling, right? I'm trying to figure that out, right? Like my sister would say, I'm very hot. But then as I go into the shower, the water is not only incredibly comforting, but it's cleansing, it's clearing. And remember, water is alive. Water has memory. And when you're in the shower, be intentional. Speak to the water. Ask the water to help clear and cleanse your energy, your the heaviness, the residue that's attached to your physicality, to your energy, so that not only as you're using the soap to scrub and get physically clean, but the water will emotionally and energetically refresh you. And especially if the water is cold or colder, it's so wonderful for the body on so many levels. But I find emotionally and mentally, I leave feeling so much more refreshed, so much more grounded, and so much more tapped in. Yep. Remember, water is also amplifying. So usually that's why people tend to get their biggest connections in water as well, or their biggest ideas, because it is a place of flow. And if in that moment you're processing emotion and trying to release, it's going to help with that flow. If in that moment you just have questions and you're trying to figure it out, you may just find that you'll get some answers if you're present, if you're intentional. And you know what? I love this because you can do it in your home, in the privacy of your space, and it's free.
It's free. And the bathroom has become a lot of people's different, even like an office space, spa time. I love to make it, magical in there. And also, I like to use the mirror to be like, hey, this is just you right now. This is where you're at right now. I know you're not feeling very good about yourself. I know you're scared. We're going to get through this. You're not by yourself. You have your peeps with you. You got this. And to close, how I started to really heal from the acne, the affirmation that I was doing, I practiced one in Spanish because there's a little saying that I picked up from the elders, and it's like looking like a fly chick, but in Spanish. So even though I wasn't feeling like this, I would go into the mirror at night and be like, tú eres una pollona. And I would say it like if somebody was like looking at me and being like, you are a fly chick. And it was, fake it till you make it. I'm faking it. And then one day I'm outside still with the acne on my face, crossing the street or waiting to cross the street. And there's a man on the other side waiting to cross the street, but he crosses to my side before I even get to cross. And before he gets to me, he looks and he trips. And he said,
oh God.
He goes, in Spanish, he says, forgive me, but I was so struck by your beauty. I almost got killed by the car. I almost tripped by the street because I wasn't looking. I was just awestruck just looking at you.
Wow, and that's so great. Not that he got almost hit, but
no, right.
The message.
Of course, right. You have to tell the story the right way because some people might just look at it as a vanity story, but not when you are working through those moments where it's years and you get to that point and all of a sudden something you're doing in private, the universe will respond, will give you evidence of what you're working on. Inward, outwardly, it will give you clues as to where you are. Am I still wearing that mask? No, I'm working on releasing other ones right now.
And you know what? The universe sent you someone who, almost gave up his life for the message. That sent you that person to confirm,
that we're powerful.
It's like acknowledge, and it's almost like acknowledgement. Like it's like through that human, the message to you was like, what you're doing, that's what it's working.
Fake it till you make it.
Keep going. This is your confirmation, and so this is what we're always saying. Pay attention to what you are seeing and hearing and experiencing in the world as you're out and about it, because it's not just going to come from within you. It's not just going to come in prayer. It's going to be sent through all these beautiful, magical ways that you cannot make up, mi gente. It will happen so organically. So look at that.
This is what's so wonderful about being alive. And look, I used to think when I was younger that I could control certain things in my life. And then you realize like for example, I'm gonna work really hard and go on that vacation, and you go on that vacation, you're so tired. You know, like you didn't really rest, you didn't really enjoy it.
Then you come back, you need a vacation
from the vacation, you know. And I started to see that that was a pattern many people were living, including myself. And one of the chains that I've been trying to break is, how do you add more joy and pleasure into your day-to-day? Because this life is not easy, and you will experience highs. Sometimes at the very same moment, you're experiencing your greatest lows. You know, so why are we saying that? As we start wrapping down, to be very candid with the community, we've been telling you that our mom has been having some serious health challenges, and this is where we're at right now. We're being daughters, good daughters. We're looking after our mom, and please send prayers, because this is a challenging time for all of us as we are experiencing
a whole territory, other new stage, a whole bunch of other, experiences and scenarios that, we'll chat about in a later video, because I feel like so many of the people our age and older, we've hit that stage, family, where a lot of us are experiencing similar situations with our parents. A lot of it is just natural age related things.
Some of it is sped up because of what's happened in the last couple of years,
and just illness, period. You know, and it is, like she said, new territory. It's a very emotional up and down. It's very physical. It's really whole body. And we, like my sister was saying, trying to make sure that throughout our day we're trying to be more intentional with, little moments or little things or little ways to help, lighten up the day or release or
it's been
harmonize a little bit.
It's been a tough year. Yeah. But I know many of you are having your tough year. You understand. As well. I know you understand. And it's not easy for us to share these aspects of us, but I think that it might be helpful, because my sister and I, at least we have each other and our brother to be going through these moments. And some of you
may not have
that
community,
that community yet, right? And sometimes we feel all alone. And hey, Louise Hay, one time, the late Louise Hay, may she be resting in paradise, because I love her wisdom, says, start with a teddy bear. If you don't have your community, talk to the teddy bear, have a circle. And I know that it might sound juvenile, playful. These approaches start creating new neuron pathways, a little highway in your brain, and it starts you're creating a new highway, you're paving a new way, you're paving a new road, and it's gonna take some work, because you're digging the rocks.
Remember,
down the road, right?
When you are the first one leading the path, or at the forefront, so it's a new path, who's the one that has the biggest challenge? Is the one at the top, at the beginning, right? Because they are about to step on new ground. So every time they step, it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge. Whereas several people in the back, or after you've done certain things for the first, those paths for the first time, or once you've done that new path for a few times, it gets easier. But those first few times, it's going to all feel weird. It's going to feel almost like a disconnect sometimes. It's going to feel overwhelming at times. You're going to even have moments where you're like, I don't even know if this is working.
Yeah.
But if you keep just trying, it gets easier, and things start to feel a little bit more normal. Or maybe normal is not the right word, but perhaps things just start to feel helpful. And maybe some things won't be helpful, but that's okay, because that's part of the weeding out, right? Yeah. That's normal too.
The most important thing is not to be alone during these moments.
Not to be alone, and to be open to trying new things.
And also try not to live with regrets. A little mantra that has been very evident to me this week is every minute counts. And I'm even telling this to my very long-winded talkers. Every minute counts. every minute counts right now. I have to, like, our schedules are so tight because of this extra space that we have to manage in our time, in our day. And hey, it's looking at the mirror time and navigating from there. So,
and remembering that, you know, every morning, you know, may sound cheesy, but it is a brand new day, brand new start. And also always such a great opportunity to, you know, just set your intentions for the day. And like, because like my sister was saying, when we are going through moments like this, you gotta just take it step by step, breath by breath, you know, intention by intention.
excuse me.
But mi gente, this is why we
gotta
are
wrap
growing
out.
the community. This is why we are so passionate about building and creating these deeper conversations that we can all connect and relate to in a very realistic way, because a lot of us are going through it. We get it, but also we need each other. And it's great to just know, oh, I get it. People get it. I'm not going crazy. This is actually normal. Or it's great to just find ways to release and relieve. And, you know,
I'm releasing a whole lot right now.
We're really grateful to have you guys like, comment, and subscribe. And again, thank you for those that are taking the time to comment. We love to read them. And we invite you to, you know, open up, share a little bit. Remember that we all learn from one another. Right? Like, that's why we need the community. That's why we need the village. And you never know what little comment you can make that you're thinking it's no big deal. Somebody else can read that and say, wow, I needed to hear that. So thank you, because everything is intentional. Once again, for your time, for spending time with us. This is Alex and Ra.
We'll see you next week. And just wanted to make a little entrepreneur announcement.
Oh,
that
do it.
This latest stuff that we've been experiencing has inspired me to make my Grace spray, my Grace affirmation spray. And it's a little spray that you walk into. And
smells delicious.
One of the reviews that we've received from one of our clients is that it helped her with her nightmares. Now, it's really just an affirmation. There's no magic to this. It's water, prayers, a little Bathrm,
a little sweetness,
sweetness.
It's basically
waters.
sweet waters.
It's just sweet waters that you missed, and you walk in.
And you enjoy the aromatic effects.
With prayers of walking into grace, because I think that we could all use a little bit more of that in our lives
every day.
Ease, love, and this is just for locals. We're not shipping. Shipping is too expensive. A little tiny bottle, $15. If you're interested, send us a message, and we'll figure
you know
it
what?
out.
We'll create maybe we could create a link, or we'll figure something out to add below, so that for those that are interested or have questions. And if you are local, we will be happy to put that together for you.
Yes. And please forgive my sourpuss face. I'm just really, 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 really hot.
It's okay. You just gotta love her up like I do.
No, I'm pretty sure she's gonna want to give me a big squeeze.
I'll keep it light like that.
Oh my heavens.
Ciao, mi gente. We'll see you next week.